Too often we're like, oh no, we gotta know it's cool. No, let your community be community. People can't support you if they don't know what you need. They can't support you if they don't know how to support you, and they can't support you if you won't allow the support to come.
Welcome to our podcast. The better you are, the better you are. Whether it is physically, mentally, or spiritually, when you know better, you can do better. And when you do better, you'll be better. On this podcast, we share knowledge, expertise, opinions, and experiences. All things that can help you to change the game. By the time we're done, it's hard for you not to be encouraged. So join us.
So that would be my big thing.
Do you have any thoughts on family members who want to help you out? How should they approach you, or what things could they do?
So the one, it's so funny because it's so easy to say, well, let me know if you need anything. I don't know what I need. I just birthed a whole human. I have no clue, right? So family members could say things like, hey, you know what? I'm taking care of dinner for you guys tonight. I'm coming. Even if you guys don't eat it, freeze it, right? Because now that's one less meal you got to think about for the week. Or family members could come and say, hey, you know, I'm going to come over and clean your house. Or I'm going to take the other kids for a break so you could just be with baby. Or I'll just come over and sit. I had a couple friend of mine, and they're a blended family, but they had their first child together. And the other child was with the other parent, and I could just see the weariness on them. And I was like, hey, I need you all to look at your calendar, pick a date. I'm coming over. Even if you don't go out to dinner, you don't go out and do anything, even if you just want to take a nap. But I'm going to come over and I'm going to sit with the baby for a few hours. And so I came, they picked the date, they took me up on it. And this is going to bring me to this point. You also got to allow your community to be community. Too often we're like, oh no, we got to know it's cool. No, let your community be community. People can't support you if they don't know what you need. They can't support you if they don't know how to support you. And they can't support you if you won't allow the support to come. You may not always know what you need, but when somebody that love you and care for you, you know that they're coming from a genuine place, you have to make room for them to be able to care for you in that way. And too often we got this hyper independence and let folks love on you, right? And so they took me up on it. And I was expecting for them to go out because they was like, they hadn't been out in a minute, but they realized how tired they were. So the restaurant that they were going to, they ordered food. And they set up, it was warm weather, they set up a little dining experience for themselves on the porch. And they ate and they drank wine and had some time. And then they came into the house and they took a nap. And I had the whole downstairs. I got baby. I got bottles because she was breastfeeding. So she pumped. And me and baby was cool until it's time for baby to eat. And I can't do anything about that. Baby ran out of bottles and it was time for them to get up anyway. But they fell asleep. And it was a gift for them, right? And sometimes it's about just showing up and being present. And so you may not do anything, but maybe you're just sitting with them. That's what a loved one can do. Just show up and just be present. Just be available. And I think a lot of times we minimize what presence truly means, because it may not be that you're actually doing something or saying something, but you're just sitting there and you're just available. So.
That's huge. We want to take some time to hear from you all. If there's any questions in the audience, those with us in the room or anyone online, if you have any questions.
Yes. So the question is, how does it affect a person mentally, whether they give birth naturally or via C-section? I'm going to throw a third component in. They give birth out of their heart through adoption, right? I think, again, how it affects someone mentally in whatever form that one has a child, right, will depend on the individual. And so the signs for postpartum depression, anxiety are just similar across the board. But how they're experienced and how it is actualized really does depend on the individual. It also depends on the type of birthing process, whether that is natural birth, high risk, not low risk, or complications that just surprise you out of nowhere, or some other sort of trauma that may enter in pre or post or during delivery, I should say, whether that's C-section, right? Because it takes a little more time to heal with that regard, or adoption, right? I didn't physically birth this child, but my life has been changed through this adoption process. And who knows how long that process has been going. Or we're talking about even people who were able to conceive through IVF. That could bring, right? So it really just depends on the person. I can't give you a cookie cutter answer, but this is where the professionals like myself, like Dr. Poitras here, have to look at these very nuanced things that could shape to the degree that one may experience postpartum depression, anxiety, or perinatal depression. Yes. For single mom, are there any suggestions for single moms, single dads to lessen stress and depression? Absolutely. One, make sure you and the co-parent, as best as you can, are on the same page. That's going to be huge. And sometimes counseling even helps with that, where you're coming in, you're not a couple, but you're co-parenting, right? And so that could be a resource. The other piece is for those who are single and have children, lean on your community and support. Hopefully you have a support system, or try to engage one, develop one, where you can lean on those folks to help you out. We are not meant to do life alone. Amen. We are wired to be interconnected and interdependent on one another. And so we have to look at community here, whether you're married or single, to be that additional support. The African proverb is so, as cliche as it may sound these days, it takes a village to raise a child. That is so true. Who's your village? And really lean on that. And then also, make sure that you're still, even as a single person, I was raised by a single mom, making sure that you still carve out some time for yourself. And so I don't know how old your child may be, but these are things that you can even introduce to your children. I love a good siesta time, right? Where we just take an hour. You don't have to take a nap, but everybody is going to chill for a bit. And that gives the single parent a little bit of time to just reset, right? Because you're carrying so much worry on your own. You got the child care, you have work, you have home stuff, you got to get dinner going, you got to do all the things, and you're doing it by yourself. And sometimes we got to be able to just hit a little bit of reset, even if it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, to just pause for a bit, reset, so that you can get back into those things. So those are just some things to think about. And then, of course, I am a reverend, and so I will be remiss. Prayer is huge. And so Dr. Anita Phillips, who is a pastor and therapist, she has a phrase that she says, prayer is a weapon, therapy is a resource. Prayer is going to be your biggest weapon, right? You need to ground yourself in something bigger than you to get through this. And I don't care what your marital status is. So there you go. So one of the things that I recommend, and I had a couple who recently took me up on this, it's hard for me to get my couples and parents in general to do this, is especially for a lot of us, many folks are working class, right? So you got to go back to work and your child has to go to daycare. Not everybody has the privilege and the luxury to be able to stay at home with their kid, or to have, Nana and Papa to take the kid for, and grandparents now are a little different. They ain't trying to raise kids. So, right. So they're like, no, we done our job. We'll get them every other holiday or whatever. But I think one of the things that I always tell people to do is when you know that your paternity leave or your maternity leave is coming close, 2 to 3 weeks prior, especially if you have to put your child in some sort of daycare or you have a sitter lined up for those working hours, start slow if you can, right? If you can, because I know daycare and childcare expenses are up there. But if you're able to, try to go ahead and even if it's just a couple days out the week to say, okay, I'm going to start this transition of being away from baby, right? If you cannot do that, who's in your community that would love to just sit with the baby for a few hours out of the day? Start that transition early of a little bit of separation so that it's not as difficult when it's time to return to work and there's this guilt, right? If we wait until the day before you go to work to now have some separation, it is going to be harder. It's going to be hard on you. It's going to be hard on the baby. But here's the thing. The baby will adjust much faster than you. And so, and then we have to also pay attention to what guilt is saying. Just because we feel things doesn't mean it's telling us truth. And so we got to focus on what is actually true about the situation. And just because there's a lot of facts there doesn't mean that there's truth in it. So, very good question.
No, I appreciate that question. And yes, I mean, even thinking about this and hearing what Reverend Hazel has spoken today, this is literally my first week back to work from being on leave from having a baby. You hit the ground running with this conversation in thinking of myself as I'm asking these questions. And so for me, it always comes back to something that Reverend Hazel mentioned, is intentionality. It's definitely intentionality. I make sure to set aside time by being intentional. Honestly, when it comes to work, I go into a role letting them know that I'm a family person. You know, I'm not willing to bend on that in any regard. When I walk into rooms, I introduce myself as a man of Christ, a husband and a father. I say that intentionally with the fingers pointing at them, with 3 more pointing back at me to let myself know, no, this is who I am at my foundation and my core. So that's how I'm going to navigate when I'm doing anything. And so if I ever feel like, you know, oh, well, I got to be here and I got to be there for work, I'll step away. You know, I'll step away. You know, I'll make sure to take my time with my wife. You know, I was even as Reverend Hazel said, I was like, okay, what could I be doing? We need to be plotting. The baby could be on his own a little bit. We're going to figure out this date. I was like, I could set up something at the house. We're going to do something. So, but if you're watching, I'm coming. and then I want to be intentional with my sons, you know, with 3 boys, you know, all 4 years apart. You know, I just make sure that I'm spending time, you know, on the way to school. My son and I are having conversations when I'm dropping off our, you know, 4-year-old. I'm making sure we're having conversations. We're having that time, you know, just spending that intentional time with them in every moment that I get, and just making sure that I'm taking the time for myself as well. And so finding my own community, you know, I dive into what does that look like? You know, today I got to travel with one of my best friends who I haven't been able to do things with in a long time, but we were able just to have these moments together. And so just making sure, again, just having that intentionality.
Yeah. I love that, because you mentioned something like even just in the drop off, right? Those are what I would call to my clients micro moments, right? I think sometimes we look for these really grandiose gestures and grand, you know, spaces of time, but it's the little things that you do each day, right? So, hey, if all I got is this 15-minute car ride, whether it's for myself or with my child or with my spouse, I'm about to maximize on this 15 minutes, right? So I love that.
Yeah, it's huge, because I'm intentional. You know, sometimes there's a radio station or radio show and I'm like, I ain't gonna listen to it after I drop them off. You know, just leave the radio off, you know, and just let the conversation flow. You know, my 4-year-old, he is a ball of energy. So we have all kinds of cool conversations.
I love that. Love it so much. Wow.
Well, before we end our time, I would love for you to just give that one-liner, you know, one-liner of maybe there's someone who just joined us. Maybe there's, you know, one person that'll see this clip and be like, oh, I needed to hear that. Be gentle with you. Be gentle with you. I don't think we're gentle enough. And a lot of times we can give gentleness, we can give grace, we can give empathy, we can give compassion so freely to other people and give ourselves breadcrumbs of that. But if you start with you first, you'll be even more effective in what you give out. So be gentle with you. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Again, I love that we titled this More Love, because if you were hearing and tracking with everything, when we started, that first question led us to understanding that it starts with us. You know, it starts with that love that we give for ourselves, you know, and ultimately knowing, again, because we're all believers here on this call, that it starts with that love that we receive from our Lord.
That's right.
And then we internalize that for love for ourselves. And then we allow others to receive that love. But then I love when you said that we accept that love, because I know how hard that is. You know, I know that sometimes we're like, no, we got it. We don't need to have that help. We don't need anybody to come by. But it's like, no, be okay to have your community. Be okay to accept that love, because that's what more love is.
Yeah.
You know, is understanding that it's going to be in spaces, and you have to allow yourself to be open to that and receive that love. So I want to thank you both again for your time. And
Thank you.
those of you online, we bid you adieu, and we pray for you, and we have that everyone's able to tune in. Before we do go, actually, I do want to say one other thing, because we, again, as I mentioned at the start of this is a 4-part series. And so our next one is actually titled It Takes a Village. And so we'll be sitting down with some individuals on May 28th. So save that date, noon, May 28th. The link and registration will be uploaded soon. And It Takes a Village. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening in today. Weren't you inspired, encouraged, and uplifted? We hope so, because we're praying the best for you. Join us again next time for more betterment, because the better you are, the better you are.